Coming up on Look Today. Well, last night a vigil took place in downtown Glens Falls against racism and bigotry and to honor the memory of Heather Heyer. We've got details. We also have continuing coverage of the preservation of Battle Hill Historical Site in Fort Anne. More on that coming up. And we've got some updates regarding the third annual concert for a cause. The numbers are in. They raised over $1,000. All ahead on Look Today. Welcome everyone, I'm Jay Hood Jackson. This is Look Today. Well, in tonight's program, I sit down with Irene Flato. She's a pediatrician, Hudson Headwaters Health Network. And we're joined by Krista Brown. She's a pediatric nurse. And they're here to discuss Hudson Headwaters Health Network's pediatric programs. I also sit down with Roger Kalia. He's a conductor. And we're joined by Barbara Kolarova. She's artistic director for Lake George Music Festival. And they're here to discuss the exciting musical festival that's currently going on all around Lake George region. Plus, we've got your weather for the Tri-North counties, but first, these headline stories. In our lead story, a vigil took place last night in downtown Glens Falls against racism and bigotry, and to honor the memory of Heather Heyer, the woman who was killed in Charlottesville. Well, residents from all over the region marched silently with candles throughout downtown Glens Falls. We were at the vigil, and we spoke to Mary Gooden. She's president, Glens Falls chapter of the NAACP. And we spoke to her about the importance of staying united as people.
We do not want people to think that we are just going to let this go.
Yeah, right.
We are going to be united. We are going to stand fast, and we're going to stand fast as a community because this is important to us.
In other news, we have continuing coverage of a story that we started telling you about yesterday. Well, recently, the town of Fort Anne received more than $100,000 to purchase and preserve the Battle Hill Historical Site right in Fort Anne. Now, the site is from the Revolutionary War and, believe it or not, has not been touched since. The preservation of this land is part of Campaign 1776. Now, this is a nationwide project to preserve battle sites from the Revolutionary period. We spoke to Virginia Parrott. She's town historian, town of Fort Anne.
It is important to remember our past and preserve what we have. This is a site that has been undisturbed for over 240 years, and it's very significant in the history of the United States.
Boy, can you imagine? Untouched for 240 years. Well, we also spoke to Michael Jacobson. He's a former project director from Bingham University.
But I think to really understand what happened here, you need to look at the landscape. And the landscape basically tells the story of the Battle of Fort Anne. And so by preserving this, we can have generations today and generations of future experience what the soldiers who fought at Fort Anne experienced.
Wow. All right, switching from news to weather. Yeah, expect scattered thunderstorms throughout the night and maybe into tomorrow. For a more detailed look at our weather, let's head to the Glens Falls Weather Center for a look at your first forecast.
Thank you, Jesse. I'm meteorologist Clarence Ponser with your first look weather forecast. We'll see a high pressure system over the Gulf Coast states, low pressure making its way through parts of the mid-Atlantic with the stationary frontal boundary attached. That's great news because this Hurricane Gert is going to move to the northeast away from the U.S. mainland. We also have a low pressure over parts of the Midwest with the stationary frontal boundary is making its way through portions of Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. Cold front boundary making its way to parts of New England. That's going to mean for New York State, more showers and storms in the forecast. Regional temperatures tonight mainly in the mid to upper 50s, few spots in the lower 60s across the Capital District. We'll see temperatures mainly in the lower 60s, 61 in Greenwich, 60 in Whitehall. Towards Glens Falls, 60 will be the overnight low, and some portions in our northwest counties at higher elevation only in the mid to upper 50s. Southwest wind about 5 to 10 miles per hour. A few evening storms, otherwise partly cloudy, mostly sunny. 81 in the afternoon high on Wednesday. As you walk out the door, we could see Mid to upper 60s under a mild start and partly cloudy skies. Our extended forecast will see temperatures rise back to 81 for our Wednesday afternoon, only 79 for Thursday. Next chance of rain showers and storms expected on Friday. Highs in the upper 70s after a morning low at 59. 81 in the afternoon high on Saturday with a slight chance of showers and storms. Before we'll see partly sunny skies for the remainder of next weekend. That's a look at the first look weather forecast. I'm meteorologist Clarence Ponser. Now I'll send it back to you, Jesse.
Well, thanks, Clarence. Back to the news. Here's a good one. We got an update. Center of Disability Services in Queensbury held the 3rd annual concert for a cause, and it was a huge success. Well, the rain held off, and between donation, raffle tickets, and T-shirt proceeds, the event raised over $1,000 for the center. Now, the event, as you probably know, took place in Shepherd Park in Lake George and featured singer-songwriter Ryan Clark with Sean Pickney and Brian Michael. Congratulations to everyone at Prospect Center. Up next, I sit down with Irene Flato. She's a pediatrician for Hudson Headwaters Health Network, and we're joined by Krista Brown. She's a pediatric nurse, and they're here to discuss Hudson Headwaters Health Network's, try that 3 times fast, pediatric programs and services. Plus, I also sit down with Roger Kalia. He's a conductor, and joined by Barbara Kolarova. She's artistic director for the Lake George Music Festival, and they're here to discuss the exciting music festival that's currently going on right now in the Lake George region. But first, if you see news happening, you want to share a story idea, how about join us for an interview? Then give us a call on the hotline. The number is 798-8000. Well, that's all the time we have for this edition of Look Today. I kind of got one look out tonight. We learned about the vigil in downtown Glens Falls yesterday afternoon, and I made a point last night to go over. You know, sometimes you need to participate. Sometimes you need to show up. And it was very interesting. A lot of people, very heartfelt. Quite a turnout, by the way. And, you know, some people express themselves better than other people. Some people are a little hesitant to talk. Some people talk too much, you know. It's just the way it is. But one thing is really, really apparent, and I really feel this. Just don't understand racism. It's not a naive statement. I mean, but what difference does it make what color your skin is, what you wear, or who you worship? I mean, the real issue that we all need to face is good versus evil, and probably a good dose of understanding human nature. You know, ignorance feeds fear, and there are plenty of people, as we've seen in today's political climate, that take advantage of that for their own personal agendas. You know, I had one other thought. I interviewed those 2 women today from Hudson Headwater. They're both involved in pediatric services, and we agreed. Watch a group of 5-year-olds in a playground, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. They all get along, they all treat each other as equal, and they just don't have any of the burdens of racism. Tonight on Look TV, it's Queensbury Town Board meeting, and don't forget, tune in tomorrow night for the stories that matter to you. Good night, everyone.